This tablet survived 5,000 years and carries numbers that shouldn't exist.
The list claims kings ruled not for years, but for tens of thousands of years.
If these numbers are real, then the timeline of human history collapses completely.
Where forgotten worlds rest in silence, we awaken their stories. Sumerian texts speak of a world before the flood, a world ruled by kings who lived like gods. The list begins with Alulim, the first king of Sumer, and according to the tablet, he ruled in Sumer. Kingship was not a political role. It was a heavenly institution passed down from the gods themselves.
After Alulim came Al-Algar, whose reign lasted 36,000 years, numbers that defy everything we know about human life. To understand these reigns, we must imagine a world where time itself moved differently. A world long before recorded history.
This four-sided prism lists every king before the flood, and every reign lasts thousands of years.
Different cities wrote their own lists, yet every version repeats the same impossible numbers. When scholars tried to reconstruct the missing parts, the numbers only became stranger.
To the Sumerians, these were not myths. They wrote these lifespans with absolute certainty.
From the ruins of Nippur emerged yet another king list, repeating the same extraordinary lifespans.
A second site confirmed the same pattern, numbers too vast to dismiss as coincidence.
Even damaged tablets from Kish point to rulers whose lives stretched across entire ages.
3 cities, 3 eras, 3 discoveries, yet every list tells the same impossible story.
The Sumerians didn't count using our system. Their world ran on base 60, a numerical code older than history itself.
These reign lengths aren't random. They're perfect multiples of cosmic numbers the Sumerians studied obsessively.
To the Sumerians, kingship was a cosmic order, a reflection of time measured in the motion of the heavens. Ancient Sumerians encoded celestial mathematics long before modern science. Their kings may represent epochs, not lifetimes.
Some scholars argue these lifespans weren't biological, but symbolic codes representing cosmic and agricultural cycles. To the Sumerians, time was divine. Their kings may have ruled cycles, not years.
But if the pre-flood world truly existed as they described, human life may have followed rules we no longer understand. What do we realize?
Memory and knowledge. The Great Flood shattered the ancient world, and with it, the 1,000-year kings vanished forever.
When the waters withdrew, a new era began, with new cities, new rulers, and new lifespans.
After the flood, lifespans shrank dramatically. The age of godlike rulers was over.
With the world reborn, kingship returned to Earth, less divine, more human, and bound to mortal time. The Hebrew texts also describe extraordinary lifespans, echoing the same decline seen in the Sumerian list.
Hindu scriptures speak of yugas, ages when humans once lived, before time reduced us. China's earliest chronicles also describe rulers who lived centuries, patterns found far beyond Mesopotamia.
So many ancient cultures, all remembering a time when humanity lived differently.
Some believe the pre-flood world allowed longer human lifespans, a biology shaped by a very different Earth.
Others argue the numbers reflect dynasties, log, entire lines of rulers remembered under a single mythical name.
Some scholars believe these kings were not humans at all, but divine forces ruling epochs of time. The real mystery is this: why do tablets from different cities across different centuries repeat the same exact numbers?
Recent excavations revealed cities older than Sumer's own written history, suggesting civilization existed long before we believed.
Artifacts appear beneath flood layers, yet show craftsmanship far too advanced for their supposed age.
A flood layer found across Mesopotamia matches the timeline of the Sumerian reset. Myth and geology collide.
Across generations, memory preserved something extraordinary, a world where rulers lived far beyond human limits.
Literalists argue the ancients recorded what they saw about, that early humans truly lived impossibly long lives.
Symbolists believe the kings represent cosmic eras, mathematical ages encoded as human reigns.
Another view claims kingship itself was divine, a Volturg, a heavenly force manifested through chosen rulers.
3 interpretations, but none fully explain why the numbers remain perfectly consistent across thousands of years.
Across cities, across eras, across different scribes' mold, the numbers remain identical.
Even statistical models fail to generate this pattern randomly. The reigns follow a strict logic we still don't understand.
These scribes weren't poets. They recorded kingship as a sacred duty, not as legend.
So the question remains, did the ancients record truth no longer possible today?
Some believe the King List encoded Earth's great precessional cycle, a cosmic clock measuring ages, not kings. In Sumer, time wasn't measured by clocks or seasons. It was measured by the movement of the heavens.
But how did a civilization 5,000 years ago know cycles that modern science uncovered only recently?
Sumer appears suddenly, with writing, math, astronomy, kingship, as if knowledge arrived fully formed. Archaeologists call this the Sumerian mystery, a civilization without a childhood, appearing almost overnight.
Some ziggurats reveal foundations older than the layers above them, suggesting earlier, forgotten builders.
Who taught the first Sumerian scholars? Some say it was the gods.
When the flood waters retreated, silence covered a world that had forgotten its gods. In the new world, kings were no longer cosmic beings, but leaders chosen to rebuild civilization. With every new dynasty, lifespans fell from centuries to decades.
And so the age of gods ended, and the age of humans finally began.
Could ancient humans truly live longer lives? Genetics offers no clear answer, yet the myths refuse to die.
A changing climate reshaped Earth's atmosphere, and with it, the possibilities of human life.
Beneath the flood layer lie ruins too advanced for their age, as if knowledge was lost and rediscovered.
Some things don't fit the timeline.
A few scholars admit it privately. Our history may be older, stranger, and less human than we believe.
Some tablets were never meant for the public. They contained priestly knowledge hidden beneath symbols.
When ancient myth aligns with modern math, the story becomes more than legend.
To the ancients, time was not just passing. It was cycling, returning, repeating like the stars above.
There are hints, fragments, memories, enough to suggest our ancestors knew something we've forgotten.
Some discoveries never make headlines because they complicate the timeline too much.
Entire sections of the King Lists vanished, yet every surviving copy keeps the impossible numbers intact.
Some interpretations never reach the public, not because they're false, but because they're too disruptive.
And deep within restricted vaults lie fragments that hint in the truth may be far stranger than accepted history.
One scholar admitted, "The more I study these numbers, the less mythical they become."
If these reigns contain truth, our historical timeline is not just wrong.
The deeper we dig, the more the ancient world fights to be remembered.
These reigns aren't random. They form a perfect pattern.
Some researchers see a blueprint, a mathematical signature linking kingship to the structure of the cosmos.
To Sumer, kings didn't rule land first, Igi. They ruled time itself. And somehow, across floods, wars, empires, and time itself, the line of the kings walked for ages. Yet no one today can trace their footsteps to the end.
This tablet doesn't measure years. It mocks our concept of time itself.
When the gods withdrew their power, human kings rose, rules became short, lifespans became... They ask many questions, but never the biggest one. What if time itself was once different?
The kings list watches from stone, their reigns spanning ages before time was measured. Millennia of knowledge slept in archives, waiting for someone to ask the hardest question.
They crossed empires, eras, even worlds, but found no home. Only time left behind. The ages changed, yet the list remains. A legacy we cannot outrun.
At the end of the list, the divine fades, and kingship becomes painfully human.
The impossible numbers break apart as the world resets into an age we finally recognize.
Every historian faces the same question. Which timeline do you trust?
Buried for thousands of years, the truth waits beneath the dust, unchanged.
The temples stand in half ruin, but the names of those long-rule kings remain etched in stone.
In a single age, the grandeur vanished, and history turned a page.
Modern historians inherited the records, but fitting them into our timeline proved impossible.
Thousands of years, kings of impossible reigns, a flood, a reset. Did they? This tablet stayed silent for millennia, and now its numbers speak louder than any king. At the end of the list, time finally bends back into the shape we know.
Every viewer eventually asks, or what the ancients wrote in stone.
Some kings ruled for lifetimes, still hold power, even now.
The past never truly sleeps.